There is one thing about worldly people that's remarkable, and that is that worldly people in general, they crave quick fixes more than anything else. Why, you ask, is this remarkable that worldly people in general crave quick fixes? It is because quick fixes seldom lead to long-term solutions. Quick fixes 95% of the time, or I dare to say 99% of the time, only increase damage in the long term. Nevertheless, worldly people, when you give them the option, let's say you have two options. You have one button, as you see in the background of this video clip, that says quick fix, and then you have another button that states long-term solution. If you click quick fix, a file is deleted and everything appears good. The other button leads to a process in which you need to follow steps diligently, and then things work out well. There are some worldly people that will choose the button long-term solution, but most of the time they go for the quick fix. But the quick fix doesn't last. Yet it's the quick fix that worldly people go after primarily. I don't really have to give many illustrations about this. For example, you have a child that's crying, that's difficult. What do? You can spank the kid, smack the kid, scream at the kid, use all kinds of methods to get what you want. And likely the kid will cooperate, but in the long term there will be harm in the relationship between the parent and the child, because the child didn't develop trust towards the parent, only forced compliance. So there's a quick fix and it works, and even people in the world will tell you do that, but it comes with a long-term cost. Well, let me give another example. You have a husband and a wife. They're in a marital argument and one of them cheats. Let's say the wife cheats. She chose a quick fix because to go through a divorce would be difficult and she will have to get used to not being married anymore. But everyone that it will encounter will see her as a divorced woman. And then they're going to ask her, why did you divorce? Then she'll need to explain things. But here's the thing. If she doesn't want a divorce, that means she will have to resolve things with her husband. And she'll have to face her own expectations that don't add up. And then she'll realize that she entered the marriage with expectations that didn't add up. And that those expectations are rooted in how she related to her own dad when she was growing up. So she has deep-rooted wrong thinking patterns that she needs to face, and she needs to face her own contribution to it. She doesn't want to do that either. So she's not interested in a long-term solution. So she is in a no-win situation. Way that's left for her to cope is through finding a shortcut. In this case, her shortcut was cheating. In this case, she remained married. She then had to face her own expectations, but at the same time, she had to leave from her husband. Or the other quick fix would be to kill her husband. Then her husband would be gone, and she would be free to not face her own wrong expectations. And don't get this twisted. This often happens in the world. It does happen all the time with all dysfunctional marriages or dysfunctional relationships. What happens often that one spouse decides to kill the other spouse so they won't have to face themselves. That's the quick fix. But of course, there's a long-term cost. They'll go to jail, or they'll get a death penalty, or even if they're never caught, they are carrying this for the rest of their lives, and it's going to affect all the other relationships they'll encounter. And sooner or later, the truth will come out anyway. So, quick fixes. Quick fixes are not the way to go when it comes to life. And as a believer, Christ teaches you to unlearn seeking quick fixes. That's why Christ told us to endure until the end. Christ didn't tell us to tolerate evil until the end, because he has given us power to trample on scorpions, serpents, and the whole camp of the enemy, and none shall by no means harm us. So we have power entrusted unto us through the Holy Spirit to overcome. So that's what Christ meant with endure until the end. To endure until the end simply means stop looking for quick fixes. Stop it. Why? Because quick fixes will not benefit you. For example, if you have frustration, the thing to do is to face the frustration. That's half of the victory, and the other half is to work towards a solution. So you participate in a solution. But what often happens in the world is when someone is frustrated, instead of facing it, they are dumping it on someone else. So then they want to control someone else to feel relieved about themselves. And this controlling will happen through violence because nobody just accepts you coming towards them to control them. People don't tolerate that. So you have to force it on them. And that is where scapegoating and narcissistic violence comes from. So it can be that you're at a job and you have a boss that's quite difficult towards you. Why is the boss difficult? Because the boss can get away with it. Because you're the one needing to be paid at the end of the month, or else you don't have an apartment. So because your boss has an advantage, he can get away with dumping his frustrations on you. Why is he dumping his frustrations on you, or her frustrations? Because you also have female bosses doing this because they don't want to face themselves. The quick fix for them is to make life hard on you so they are relieved. That's how it goes. You have parents doing this with their children. Some cases you have children doing this with their parents, but often it's parents doing this with their children. That's something that culture doesn't allow you to see. Culture is quick to talk about not giving sufficient acknowledgement to parents, but the other side of it, that a lot of parents are operating in an unworthy manner towards their offspring. People don't want to talk about it, but it happens. It's easier for the parent to do it with the kid than the other way around, and it happens often, and people just don't want to face it. So, quick fixes. The reason people choose quick fixes is because they have a delusional expectation that once an object is eliminated, everything will be better. They select an object that they make the target of their anger, the target of their frustration, target of their sadness, the target of all their waste energy. And they have this delusional expectation the moment they unleash everything against the target and they destroy the target, it's going to be well. So worldly people in general, not in the absolute sense, but in general, they want enemies because they believe having someone to fight against proves that you're worthy, proves that you're somebody, proves that you have values. The way worldly people prove the realness of their values is by having someone to charge with their frustrations. That's how they do it. That's how they achieve peace collectively, by collectively choosing to charge certain individuals so they are relieved. That's peace according to the world. Whether the targets are criminals or foreigners or, people with disabilities, it doesn't really matter as long as they have someone to charge. It's a quick fix, and the quick fix works, but it works against them in the long run. Just because something works on the short term doesn't mean it's worth it. I mean, if you have an infection in your body, the best thing to do is to get an to go to a hospital to get a surgery to remove the infection. Then you have to stay at the hospital for maybe a month, I don't know how long, so your body recovers. And after your body recovers, you have to take it easy for another month or two, and then after 3 months, you're finished. You still have to go through those 3 months of difficulty, but then the infection is gone for good. You have an alternative to it, and that's getting morphine or heroin or some other medicine and inject it into you, and you're relieved. You don't feel anything. You even get a power boost from it. But then you need to take it again and again and again, and it only masks the infection, but the infection is still there. The infection may become inactive, that the infection doesn't spread around, but the infection is still there. It's still there, you're still carrying with you, it just doesn't, destroy you with the same speed. But it's still there. So one day, when you don't have the drugs to numb the symptoms, the infection will become active again, and this time it may be far worse because you also have all the junk in your body due to that addiction. You get what I'm saying here? So quick fixes don't work in your benefit on the long term. They don't. For example, you have this Brexit thing. I don't want to talk too much about it because this channel is not for political debates, but this whole Brexit thing, whether you are a Remainer or a Leaver, by the way, that's another form of duality that traps people. It comes down to the following. The British people had discontent, though, to how their country was governed. There were issues and troubles that they faced as a society. Now, the thing to do is to face the challenges, go to the root of them, and acknowledge each participation to it, and compel everyone to participate in a solution. But you still have to face things. But the other option is blame it all on the European Union. Just blame it all on them. Just blame it all on them. Even though Britain was one of the main decision makers in the EU, they even had many privileges in the EU, and they retained their international relevance by being part of the EU because the British Empire was fading away. But forget all about that, blame it all on the EU. Whatever goes wrong, we don't look at our own leaders, nor to ourselves as a society, blame it all on the EU. So when they got the opportunity to act out this scapegoating, they did it. They voted leave with a small majority. But they had no plan how to leave, nor how their future as a community would look like outside of the EU. When they realized, oh dear, this decision was not grounded based on true facts, but more based on emotion and relief seeking, instead of facing that, and now either forfeiting the previous collective decision, that means the vote, or to look for solutions that will work in everyone's advantage, they now keep blaming the EU. And now there are many British folks, according to some news articles, that are done with Brexit. They are fed up with it because now people are realizing there are other problems that needs to be dealt with, like the social housing, healthcare, knife crime. Because people were so focused on having their will validated, no attention was given and no resources were used in dealing with the real issues Britain was facing. All attention went to, we have our will and we want our will to be validated. So in seeking validation, they forfeited their natural obligations to their community. So now need to face that also. So did the quick fix work? No. But this is not about Brexit. Just examine all things, okay? Agree with Christ, be at peace, and trust His timing.